We met, started dating. She was living in Farmville, coming down and stuff. And I had just a table up at the road. Back in 2000. Yeah. And he was going to retire. He's a Vietnam vet, and he works with veterans and was going to retire. And then 9/11 happened. We went into Afghanistan and Iraq, and he said he wasn't going to retire. No. And I was living in Iowa in a single wide with a cornfield. And, hey!
How are you?
Here's the Queen of Starch.
You grow all this, don't you? He just takes credit for all of it? You do all this work?
She has all the starch though. I guess I had to get her the greenhouse, proper greenhouse. This was the first plot I ever did, and I just flagged down. This is all just a field, and I flagged down an old timer driving by in a tractor. And had him tear it up for me. Yeah. And I just did straight row, like everyone.
Just a victory garden style.
Yeah, threw it in the back of the truck and just sold it randomly, and then really started figuring out the market gardening. I tell people, like, I've been growing food and selling it in various forms for like 15, 16 years, but I've been doing it professionally since we got together. Yeah. And she's the brains behind the operation. 3 admin.
What's your best selling vegetable crop at the farmer's market?
Our biggest seller being lettuce. Our second biggest seller is carrots, which is why our logo, I tried to do like the skull and crossbones. I had a lettuce with 2 carrots.
I like that.
So I tell everyone the same story. So there's a cucumber story. I was selling, we met, started dating. She was living in Farmville, coming down and stuff. And I had just a table up at the road, $5 for $1 or whatever, right? And this
just get rid of
them. The old guy comes by and he's like, "Oh, my grandkid just loves cucumbers." So we're talking and I'm just loading them up. Yeah. So finally we get done BSing and he hands me $1. I hand him a grocery bag with like probably 30 cucumbers in there. And I turn around and she's sitting on the front porch and I take that $1 and snap it. And I said, "I sold some." And that's when she looked at me and said, "Okay." She's like, "Listen." She's like, "If you just want to grow food and give it away, I support you in that, and that's awesome." Charity. She's like, "But if you want to leave utility trailer and make a living doing this, we're going to really have to focus and come up with a plan."
Y'all two are one and the same.
And
I fuss at her all the time, whether it is artwork or eggs or food or whatever it is.
I could have made a lot of money.
Well, People will pay more.
The last couple of years I've sold tomato plants and I could have made a whole lot of money selling plants this year. I gave them all away. I didn't have the energy.
Start too many.
Yeah.
You know who the person that feels weird about the money thing is you. People actually expect to pay. It took me a while to figure this out.
I know. I still do that with my artwork.
Somewhere and they're like, "Oh, you could just take it."
It's imposter syndrome.
Right? Like, I mean, I don't want to really ask you for money. Like, you should just eat this, right? Like, for free. Like, you should just have food. But yeah, what I have found with her encouragement is, no, people expect to buy. And then we have people at our market sometimes come up and say, "No, you need to raise your prices."
Yeah.
No, these heads are $3, and they'll give us a $5 and say, "Give me $1 back."
People do that with my artwork too,
She's awful for that with her.
Well, I'll be like 65. They're like, "Here's $100." Right. And I'm like, "Okay." Right. So I'll just keep charging $60, and they'll just keep giving me $100. I'm fine with that.
You little 75.
Yeah.
The thing that struck me was, if you want to leave utility trailer.
Yeah. That'll get you.
Well, see, Sean's been really interested in it. He said he would love to do market gardening.
I would love to do something so where I don't have to be at work all the time come summer, spring, summer, fall. Beds.
So the first person I found was J.M. Fortier and the Market Gardener. It's a book. It is like the Bible here. It is the primer. Yeah. You can dig deeper, but you're good overall. That and Curtis Stone, like his early stuff. He's an urban farmer. he was doing nothing but lettuce.
Yeah.
And his thing was high value, quick rotation.
Yeah.
Because he's in a real small, tight area. And when I got started, like, I don't have money for a tractor, don't have any of that. And I'm glad I was constrained by that, actually. That helped, because I'm like, I would have been the guy like plow it all up. Like, you know, I have no yard or anything.
Build a foundation to get started.
And then you go into debt, and then you're trying to pay off your debt for having to have a tractor and stuff. Yeah.
So I, you know, broad fork everything. I use hand tools. I went no-till for a couple seasons. I'm back to, I do a light tilling.
Yeah.
Do 3 inches on the top. Add in the
We'd
compost.
like to, it'd be nice to get to no-till.
But the permanent beds are where it's at. Well, the deep, you know, when you till deep, you're just pulling up that weed bank seeds.
Yeah.
You know, I'm very like,
the weed barrier, is it a game changer?
Oh yeah, your landscape fab. So for your long-term crops, anything we have to transplant for long-term, we use the landscape fabric with. So it's porous. There's a couple different kinds. Oh, this is perfect. So this particular brand, you can get locally here in Abingdon at Wolf Farm Natural Elements. They are the most awesome farm store. They're farmers, they're friends. And this one is called Sunbelt. I happen to like it a little bit better. It's a little bit more flexible, but yeah, allows for, you know, rain and stuff to come through, but keeps back the weeds. So if they're going to be in here for a while, anything I can do to
anything that's going to be a continual
plant,
harvest,
plant and walk away from it.
And my issue is, I really like high intensity planting, and I go way too hard on it. I'll plant things way too close together, and then I don't get as much.
So investing in a good seeder.
Yeah.
Like, one is standardizing like the 30-inch wide beds. So market gardening, like all the tools, Elliot Coleman.
I just ordered his book.
Okay, that's the godfather of the whole thing.
Yeah.
That's the primer. And when I started, like, nothing was online.
Yeah.
Like, there was no videos on YouTube.
No.
Like, it was all just cats, right? Like,
Yeah.
you had to find the books, and also in this area, going to a farmer in this area saying, yeah, I'm doing these permanent, but they're like, you are crazy.
My goodness, when
it does not compute.
Yeah, when I tried to tell my papa when he was still here about like no-till gardening, he thought I was nuts. But then it was funny because he had gotten a big load of wood chips, you know, and they had sat there and rotted for a while. And he's like, you know, if you take those and you put them around your tomato plant, you'll have the best tomatoes you ever had. I'm like, Papa, that's the same idea as like a no-till. Like, it's the same idea. I mean, he didn't.
The way I explain it to people at my Hope is I tell people, think rectangles, not lines.
Yeah.
Because, so like we do our lettuce, 50-foot bed, we do 4 rows of Salanova, cut and come again, right? So it's 50-foot bed, but with 4 rows.
Yeah.
So I have 200 feet in a little rectangle, as opposed to one giant.
It's kind of like a mash between square foot gardening and row gardening.
That's where I got started.
I was reading the Mini Farming Bible and the square foot gardening, and I really liked it.
Mel Bartholomew and his square foot garden. I've got those, you can kind of see part of them, the white part right there. Those are all 4x4 square foot. Some of the best stuff.
They've got it
really?
now for when you're starting out with that stuff. I saw them on, of all places, the TikTok shop, but they make the little like layout, the square, and you can go through and press it into your garden for your seeds.
I'm not that particular. I'm just like, that looks like about a foot.
Yeah. Pieces of wood and make like lattice.
Yeah.
Over them or whatever, and just do it like that, and like that's pretty.
What I did with my onions this year in my little box bed I had is I took a muffin tin and I laid out the muffin tin and made the indentions, and I put my onion starts in. So far they're getting decent size. It's so pretty. I was looking at it. I'm excited to have something different other than a plain green zucchini.
This one, right? Safari.
Yeah.
There's a yellow one, yellow zucchini that's like striped like this.
Ooh.
They pair well together, and we've had a girl selling them at the Abingdon Market for a
while.
Oh
wow, that
and
sounds
people
awesome.
are used to that now.
That's really pretty. I've never heard of a yellow zucchini though. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. My daughter doesn't like squash.
Yeah.
So that's why I started buying those
right?
from her
And what I
because
found was most people
it's two zucchini.
Yeah.
But the
okay,
squash
cool.
we're
Can I buy
doing
that? Like,
this year, it's like green on the bottom.
And then
kinda
some
green
people-
on the
Yeah, I
bottom.
saw those. I had
Here,
seen.
get that
And then I was
squash for her too.
oh yeah, and then I was like, oh,
So it's green on the bottom, yellow on top. They're hardier, like a yellow or like a zucchini.
Yeah.
and the old
And
timers
you can
were
actually
like,
Yeah.
use
I
those
did
in
purple
zucchini
green
recipes,
Right.
and it'll hold
Not
up
yet,
instead of
I'm
getting
sure.
mushy like a yellow.
We've tried
Yeah.
really hard to swap our people to purple potatoes because
Thank
they
you.
can
I really
grow.
appreciate it.
so my thing with the purple green beans was I was trying to get the parents, and I'm like, listen, get your kids in the kitchen because they turn green. How cool is that, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, whatever. And the old timers are like, them ain't Kentucky Wonders.
Yeah.
Them ain't half runners.
Them ain't
Like,
Blue Lakes.
Blue Lakes? No, you ain't got no Blue Lakes. And what I found now is, I mean, it's kind of sad, but so we're not so much a retirement community. There's younger people now with family, and these younger folks are educated in the ways of food and things like that. So we're trying
They
to
are
offer
trying
them,
to get their kids in the kitchen and do things as a group, as a family.
So my concern was like, how do I grow enough to make money doing it, and to also have enough, because I want to have enough to where I can put some food back for me, you know?
I've started putting food back.
That's
Yeah.
where,
Yeah.
that's where our
Freeze it,
balancing
can
act
it.
right now is.
Yeah.
I only water bath can right now.
Yeah.
So I can only can so much.
Right.
That's why I put
We
so much
just-
in the freezer.
Yeah, we just got a pressure canner. We pressure canned for the first time this year. We did beef stew. Oh, it was so good.
So this is row cover. So this is like the frost protection.
That's what I have. We have the frost protector. We don't have the bug netting.
Now, so this is okay, but the problem is it traps the heat, which is what
Yep.
it's supposed to do. So arugula will melt
Yeah.
under there.
So will cabbage, I've learned.
Yeah. So
Yeah, we learned that one this year.
that is good to know because I just put out some cabbage and I was like, I'm just gonna cover it with the agribon.
Some of them did really good. I'll take the golden
Good to know
acre.
ahead of time. Thank you. Yeah, this is just arugula, and I do six rows, 8 rows. Again, it'll close up so that canopy.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever had arugula.
It's very
Bitter.
Peppery.
no,
Peppery?
You like pepper?
Yes.
She's like a rabbit.
I hate
That's my biggest thing is I want to grow all this stuff to sell, but I don't actually eat any of it. I'm not a green eater. Throw me a pork chop any day.
I look at that.
But
you want to
That's
try it?
rabbit food.
I look at that and I'm like, excuse me.
He would know. If he tasted this, he would.
I should just say, excuse me, you're accidentally giving me the food that my food eats.
That's right. That's right.
Like,
I love telling people at the farmer's market that he doesn't like lettuce.
I don't
Because
like
they're
lettuce.
like,
I don't
what?
eat cabbage. I don't like tomatoes.
when I started and really, was like, okay, market gardening, permanent beds. You're not dealing with them. The walkways stay where they are.
Yeah.
Like I said, lay the cardboard to them. I started with, these are 25 foot. And then I had these center ones that are like 10 foot. And then I had more 25 footers over here. And what I realized was like 25 feet is not enough. I need 50.
Yeah.
And I've turned these, Danita's favorite flowers, the poppies. So we did the poppies. We got borage coming up. Like when I pull all this up in the winter, because those are 25, these are 50. I'm pulling stuff out and I haul it all over there, and I'm like, oh, this is all
crap.
short. This is the wrong pot. So if you have it all standardized to begin with, that's
Everything
the way
is
to do
cut
it.
the same. You're not mixing and matching.
Yep.
And
Well,
if you don't,
no.
labeling, putting them in label bins, that would be helpful.
Yeah.
Shade cloth, I really recommend, for lettuce and stuff like
For
that.
the cold weather stuff. We had a lot of stuff. What we did manage to survive the geese and ducks and deer
That
has
bolted.
bolted almost immediately.
The trick, so you can do lettuce all year round.
It's
You
just
have
getting
to make-
varieties.
You have to do every step correctly. So
Everything
their
has to be
seeds
right.
have thermal dormancy. So if the soil is higher than 72 degrees, I think, or 75, they won't germinate. So like we do our starts and then I put them in the barn. They stay in the shade till they pop. When I transplant, they go in here and they're immediately under shade cloth for at least 2 weeks. Now these guys have been under here all week. I've just had to keep it covered. We're talking about keeping the weeds out, and this bed has I just pulled the shade cloth off this bed this morning, and I'm like, what the hell has happened? That looks horrible. But, and you see deer tracks in there from this morning, but
can't keep them away.
But yeah, 50-foot beds, then everything can be standardized, and then you will want to invest in a cedar. Yeah. Some type of cedar. So these are mustard greens. We do two types of lettuce we do mainly. This is that Salanova. If you've been on YouTube enough, you know about Salanova. Lettuce cut and come again. So you get 3 cuts off this. Wow. So we'll cut this, wash it, bag it, everything, and that's our standard lettuce mix.
Now, how do you, are you guys just spend the whole day washing by hand, or you got
like a bubbler machine, don't you?
We got the bubbler and stuff like that, and I'll show you all that. Our second mix is we do a loose leaf variety. So
can you cut and that'll come back also?
Yeah. So what's left? I'm pulling this out now, and this was all loose leaf in there, and you get about 3 cuts off of it. So I'll cut that.
So you definitely succession sow.
Yeah, and then these are mustard greens. So once these get bigger, it's a variety. You get Danita picked out the variety. We kept having, you can buy from Johnny's pre-made
mixes.
And what we found was there was at least 1, if not 2 different mustards in there that just bolted all the time.
Just immediately.
You couldn't get a cut
they get a
off
speck
it.
Of sun.
Yeah, so I'm like
10 beds last year.
Wow.
It's 50 foot and I can't even get a cutting off it now.
Yeah.
Unless you're gonna pick out every bolted thing, which is like, no. So we made our own mix, which is doing better. But we'll cut these, and this is cut and come again too. We'll cut these and we mix the mustard greens with the loose leaf.
Okay, and just do like a salad mix, like a pre-mix.
Yep, we call it a spring mix,
like you get at the grocery store.
That's why we called it that. These are mustard greens that are all bolted and stuff, but so the big giant leaves, the people in Glade love them.
Greens,
mustard greens. Yep, they love them. I've been keeping them rolling a few. Way longer than I should.
This is boiled with vinegar.
Yeah, way longer than I should, but and then the other trick with the lettuce though too is the overhead irrigation. I don't have any drip set up. I do mostly overhead, and the reason for that is 15 minutes a couple times a day, the cold water gets on the leaves of the lettuce and it evaporates heat.
You don't have any issues with burning?
No.
With that being on the leaves? Because that's I've always heard that's a huge.
The shade cloth though too.
Okay.
And for 10 or 15 minutes,
it's the timing. Like if you left it on there for half an hour or so.
It's super hot, so it's not staying on there too long, but it's enough to kind of cool them back
down.
Kind of
mimic the morning dew.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Keep them nice
so
and
certain vegetables like lettuce like to be watered overhead. Unlike tomatoes, they don't like that.
No.
Yeah.
No, I know. Yeah. And for season extension, these tunnels are from Farmer's Friend. And they're the Caterpillar tunnels. They are square footage wise, they are the cheapest you can get. But let me tell you, they come on a pallet. This whole thing, it's plug and play. The tech screws come with it. This sits on rebar. The rebar comes with it. You know what I mean? The rope comes
You're not,
with
because
it.
a lot of those, they don't come with everything. You've got to buy
they
stuff.
Come with
the hoops are bent.
The hoops?
They show up. You just put them together. Danita and I put this one together. The first one took us all day. Yeah, the second one we did much faster.
Yeah.
We had a friend helping us. We wanted to do everything exact.
Yeah, so I called up Farmer's Friend to actually talk to the owner about it, and he started chuckling. He's like, listen man, they do not have to be exact measurement. Like this gives you some flexibility. We've never had a problem with wind or anything like that. We got the Gothic style because I was worried about snow and stuff, and not really had that problem. You guys might have more of a problem.
This past winter
was a lot of snow.
Yeah, but go on Farmer's Friend and you can price them out. And then you can also get the overhead irrigation.
Ours is also lifted. It has a lift kit.
Yeah, the lift kit lifts the whole thing up a little bit.
Give you a little more height.
Yeah, you got some clearance on there, but
which that would be,
yeah,
because we would probably do a lot of tomatoes and stuff, and so that would probably be best.
And if you did the overhead, this whole white thing shows up and around. All these come together. The holes are already in it. You put these together and pop them in the hole, and then your black outlet, comes down.
It's very plug and play. Dude, which is a lifesaver.
You know what I mean? Like, and I've spent years and years like building stuff on my own. And first off, it never turns out the way it looks in my head. It always looks like the most redneck.
So
like, I have these ideas of grand design.
I'm trying to figure out how to use the space that we have that is unusable. And there's an area between me and my mom. That because we live on the bottom of a hill, and we just get all the runoff. And there's this area that gets a lot of water when it rains, and it stays kind of really gushy. But I thought I could do raised beds there, and the raised beds wouldn't be affected, and it would actually help. Yeah.
We'd never had to water that.
Then we've got the 2 other plots in the back that are.
Now, how do you rotate?
We started this year trying to get on. There's a program called Seed Time that we're working with. My issue with Seed Time is they're still working it out.
Yeah,
it's still got bugs.
So if I'm not keeping up with Seed Time, it is also not keeping up with us. There's another program,
trying to keep
Heirloom,
up with stuff.
from JM Fortier. He just got it off the ground. That does help with that. Like if you're late on stuff, it then bumps
everything else
back. Like right now with Seed Time, because I was late. I mean, so the farrowing barn put me 2 weeks behind.
Yeah,
minimum 2 weeks behind. And I was 2 weeks behind building the greenhouse, which we had to have to do our start.
Yeah.
So then that put me another
everything.
So everything started kind of falling behind. And then, the Seed Time program is like, oh, this should be coming out and you should be putting this in. And I'm like, but it's not done. Like, it's not ready yet.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, the bees really like it. That's borage, isn't it?
Yeah.
They really like that.
They do. And borage actually is a really good
we bought some this year from Tractor
bug
Supply.
deterrent.
And I've got 3 or 4 apples.
Probably
Is that a
they
perennial?
planted all of it right. See where those yellow flowers are?
Yeah.
That's where all the borage got planted. That one,
the
and then
rotation is,
where the garlic
like I
is.
said,
Do you have to plant it start
No,
seeds
it
every
just
year?
comes-
It just
does
comes
its own
back.
thing.
Yeah. Oh, it
Like,
reseeds and comes back.
But
I
yeah,
could
it
do
reseeds
this.
itself.
Okay,
Like, so it's
yeah.
migrating. We did not plant it.
Oh, okay.
Pretty much where we planted it is not really. There might be like 1 or 2 plants.
Right. One of my favorite things to grow is basil. I love it. I have so many varieties. And I think that would do decent at a farmer's market. Little
Yeah,
packs
it does.
of fresh basil.
Yep, it does.
And I've been thinking
Especially
about
if you
doing
also
that.
grow something like tomatoes. Give them like.
Well, I mean, the little blister packs of basil at the store are like $4 or $5 for 2 stems of fresh basil. And they're usually wilted by the time you get them. Yeah.
I mean, again, best practice, like all the agronomists and stuff will tell you to do the crop rotations and things like that. And again, it depends. Like I said, lettuce, I've done lettuce, pulled it, put lettuce right back. It's a light feeder. I wouldn't do tomatoes, pull them, put tomatoes right back. Or I wouldn't pull tomatoes and then put like winter squash there or something.
Do beans.
I would put a lighter feeder right after that. Beans.
Nitrogen fixer.
Nitrogen fix. Where that black tarp is there, talking about tilling, I've got the little rototiller out, and it's just a field, right? So I mean, I'm beating it to death, and it's still not ready. And then the weeds start coming, like, give me the black tarp quick, like I'll just
kill them.
What I like about the black tarps though is that they are a pause button.
Yeah,
they are like, okay, shit
I don't
is
have
getting
time to deal
out
with
of
it right
hand.
now.
Pause. Just give me
a week.
Give me to the end of the week,
yeah.
right? And I'll be back. Like, but in the meantime, you have to stop growing now.
Yeah.
Like, and the work. It's so. I mean, you pull them back. The earthworms are just having a ball, right? Because it's perfect environment for them. And then conversely, with my carrots, so I'll use a strip of that black tarp, but I'll flip it so the white side's up. So I do the carrots in the rows like that, and then I'll do them real heavy and put that down white side up to retain the water, because if you keep
really heavy,
Yeah, if you keep the soil moist with your carrots, once they pop, then you're good. But
you're good.
Yeah, if they dry out a little bit, no bueno. When I first started with these rows and stuff, that goes back to like if you're doing 50-foot rows or 50-foot beds and it's standardized 100-foot, like these were all 25-foot, and I've just combined them, and it was almost overwhelming like when I started.
Yeah. And
you know, I was just hand seeding, so I'm doing like 8 rows of kale one time, right? And by the time I stood up, I'm like, you know, and I told Anita, I'm like,
yourself.
How much is the cedar? I'm like, I'm not doing this anymore. And the Earthway cedar is not super precise, but it's $110.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it works just fine. You got to get the little plates for it.
No.
It's not, like I said, it's not super accurate.
Not a $500, you know.
The Jang,
Mm-hmm.
I would not farm without it. That is that one tool I would not give up on it. I would not give up.
What is it?
It's the Jang seeder. It is a precision seeder. And I'll get the, I've got a little hopper for it there, but and
now that's a device.
and it feels like a tool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it runs, and I'll get the hopper and all that goes in here and stuff, but so they have these hooked together so you can get a 6-row cedar and all that. This is just fine, but so runs on a bicycle chain, and these sprockets will change the space of your densities and things like that. I've never changed it. It's just fine the way it is, but some people want to really nerd out on that and get like, you
your
know,
father would absolutely nerd out on that.
exact spacing, you know.
You would. You like being exact.
Well,
Yeah, you would like
to an extent.
What's nice about this is like the Earthway, again, perfectly good, but it's really light. And the compost I usually get is chunky, kind of mulchy.
Yeah.
And that's just a nice substantial. So you'll roll, you know, it rolls it, it does the furrow, drops the seed, covers it, smushes it down, seed to soil. Let me grab the
all done.
Yeah, let me grab the hop.
I was
Yes.
ready to ask. I had seen one recently, the new one that it was a little mower that went straight across.
And you
the top of
could
your greens.
you hook it to your driver.
Yeah, so that blade is serrated.
That is so
That's
neat.
pretty
Invented
cool.
by a 16-year-old.
Huh?
He asked Elliot Coleman the right question. What do you need? And he said, we can't compete with California because we're cutting lettuce by hand and they have these machines. It's not practical for us to have these giant machines or affordable. And the kid came up with a few different designs and then went to a car wash with his parents.
And saw that.
And this was the wait a second moment, you know what I mean? And yeah, it's hooked up to a drill
That's so cool.
and it rolls. But so this is the Jang hopper. So you have to buy the rollers, of course.
Everything's separate.
But now we got ours through Paper Pot Co.
I follow them too.
Yeah, Diego. And one reason I do that is he has done so much for small scale farming. I feel fine giving him my money.
Yeah.
And he has a whole, like a package deal.
You get all of
On
it.
stuff. But so the seeds go in the top. And see, there's different.
Swap out your seed size and everything.
So these are like carrots. This is spinach. This is arugula. So they're different sizes and they're spaced different.
Yeah.
So you fill that up so it drops from the top. And this was developed by South Korea's government for its farmers. It's small. South Korea has a ton of small scale farmers. So
It's really cool.
yeah, it sits on the little bicycle chain.
What's even better too is that it can be repaired. You can go to Walmart and pick you up a bicycle chain.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
This was, so every year we try to pick an investment.
Yeah.
You know,
Something to make
caterpillar
life easier.
tunnels one year. The greenhouse, the little greenhouse this year. The Jang was one of the first ones. This is just 2 minutes. It takes me longer to change out the rollers and get the seed than it does
ready to use than it does to probably use it and finish the garden.
Yeah, I would not farm anymore without this or some type of seeder. Again,
how much seed does it hold? I mean,
it's like I've never filled it to. I've never needed to. I usually, right in here will give you seed left over.
Yeah.
And that's helpful if. Some people really calculate their seed, they weigh it out and stuff like that. But yeah, I highlight some type of seeder. Part of being successful is keeping that cost down. So, like the landscape fabric, that's less weeds, right? I don't get paid to weed. I just don't. I get paid for my product at the end of the day.
And
all that goes
away
in
from that even more.
Right, so anything that I can do, but we got cucumbers and more squash here. And again, like I said, to avoid the bugs, I tried to run away.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people secession sow their squash too, so once the bugs and everything have gotten the squash, they've got another round
she
coming
started
in.
enough. I've got enough. I'm going to put another 25-foot bed of squash in probably this week. These
just prolific.
These 3 just got seeded this week.
Can't give it away at that point.
Are these going to be greens?
Yeah. So this is lettuce. This is all.
Right now,
this is Tokyo Bacana, which is a super fast-growing mustard green.
Mm-hmm.
It's an Asian cabbage.
Ooh.
But we cut it small.
Yeah.
It just gives texture like in a salad mix.
Mm-hmm.
And then the rest is the greens. A white shade cloth for tunnels that I'm super interested in because that black shade cloth does work great, but it can increase temperature as well.
That's what I was wondering about shade cloth. Like obviously it helps with shade, but it's black. How is that not attracting heat?
Yeah, and I think it's worse like sitting on the plastic. Like with ours, if it's over a bed, it's got airflow, stuff like that. But sitting over plastic, I think.
You're just heating that plastic up.
Super intense tomatoes.
Yes, I planted enough starts that we could have some to sell. And he put them all in the ground.
I'm so bad with starting so many tomato plants.
What did we plant this year? 60 different varieties we started?
I had over 100. I had over 400 tomato plant starts.
Of course, they did get.
But I mean,
any ducks and geese found them.
Well, some of them, but most of them, where I'm teaching the Sprout and Hope program, I gave them to the people in Sprout and Hope.
That's cool. I mean, I am gonna put T-posts.
Oh, I've seen this.
We're gonna do this
and connect the pipe.
Yep, as one of our farmer market buddies told Danita about it. She told me, and I'm like, that's.
What is it now? What do you do? I've missed this on a YouTube video somewhere.
Right, so
that's where he got it from. I don't remember who though.
We'll put it on there, and we'll put a piece of rebar, put a second one out on that rebar.
Then you can tie your
string across there.
Yeah.
Kind of like this.
Okay. That is pretty smart.
I like the concept.
Who'd have thunk it?
Yeah, we're that's our fancy mater.